welcome to ByCast, the Byfleet podcast with Amanda Boot.
Hi everyone and welcome to ByCast, the weekly Byfleet podcast where we bring you news from our villages and surrounding areas. I'm Amanda Boot and I'll be your host today. Since this is our first show, I would like to go through our podcast format and the kind of information we'll be sharing with you and hopefully you with us. Along with current news on Byfleet, West Byfleet and the surrounding villages, we will each week have a detailed segment focusing on a particular issue that is important to our community and surrounding villages. Twice a month we will have a guest interview on the show to share their knowledge and give us information on whatever project they have already implemented or would like to develop to improve Byfleet, West Byfleet and the surrounding areas, and in a positive way. From new innovative ideas to community endeavours, we want to hear from you and have our audience hear from you too. On the last episode of the month, we will also have a Q&A session. Each previous episode, we will ask our listeners and subscribers to the channel to participate and send us your comments, questions and remarks in advance. We very much want to hear from you. And there are many ways to do this. You can do it via email, in the chat below, this YouTube video, via social media, and we'll also be putting suggestion boxes around the villages in the local library and in St Mary's Community Centre. For those who know their way around social media and platforms like YouTube, all links are posted below, so just click and write your comment. We will read and attempt to reply to all comments in the Q&A. And please, don't forget to like, subscribe and share our videos far and wide. Your regular podcast hosts are going to be myself, Amanda Boot, and Stephen Howe. Please don't be shy and do send us your feedback and thoughts on each episode. We hope you enjoyed today's first episode and our main segment on our local Byfleet Community Centre, St Mary's. Thank you. Right, so in this section, I wanted to use this opportunity to update you on what's happening with St Mary's Community Centre. Many of you may have heard rumours that the centre might be closing, that the elderly daycare service is being removed, and so on and so forth. And so I thought it was a great opportunity to just let you know where we're at in terms of my thinking. So, if we take a step back, I'm sure you're all aware that last year Woking became the first of 3 councils to issue a 114 notice, which is effectively a declaration of bankruptcy, after winning the unwanted title of being England's most indebted council relative to its population. The council had been living beyond its means for many years, as we now all unfortunately know. We now find ourselves in the awful situation as a council of having to find £12 million of savings to show the government that we can get our house in order. And in just under a week's time, the council will have to take the awful position of voting on a package of cuts that include closing all of our public conveniences, the 4 community centres across the borough, funding for our sports pitches and pavilions, for the town's art gallery and other key services such as the Citizens Advice Bureau. And that meeting will be on Thursday, February the 8th, next week. Once this suite of proposals came to my attention last autumn, and after getting over the initial shock, I realised that these proposals included a threat to withdraw the elderly daycare service at the Much-Loved Community Centre in Byfleet, St Mary's. As someone who visits and uses this centre on almost a daily basis, I have come to experience firsthand just how much this centre is a lifeline for so many of the elderly people in the villages. In fact, when I recently introduced a Bloomberg journalist to some of these elderly customers, several of them broke down when asked what they would do if the centre were to close, and one of them stated that he just wasn't want to be around anymore. We were all moved to tears at this point. This is the human and social impact that no one seems to take into account when they're looking at the numbers to try to find the savings that I mentioned. Indeed, the government commissioners who have been parachuted in to help with the rescue mission, have never ever been out to visit St Mary's Community Centre or the other sites that they are tasked with potentially closing. We have an average of 50 elderly people who come to St Mary's on a daily basis, where they receive a hot 3-course meal and social activities, and they spend the day interacting with each other and with a multi-generational group of people who visit the centre to use the cafe, to work remotely, to use the toddlers and play facilities with their young children. In fact, the centre offers a wealth of opportunities. You might not know, but it has a diabetic eye clinic, podiatry, a hairdresser's. It's the only place in Woking to receive assisted bathing, a Christian church service on a Sunday, ballet dancing classes, the Parkinson's Society music therapy sessions, and the list goes on. The elderly customers are collected using specialist transport for a door-to-door service, and they pay £11.50 per day for the transport, meals and an activity package. Back in the autumn of last year, the council proposed to stop this elderly daycare service at St Mary's from the end of March this year, and all of the centre staff have been served notice of redundancy. The cafe closed down at the end of last year as the council put up the rent so much that the business became unsustainable. The cafe had been providing all of the meals for the elderly daycare service, and I started to watch everything fall apart. So I immediately decided to set up an action group with a view to ensuring that we not only kept our daycare service going, but also saved the centre long term. We were given the harsh news by the Woking Borough Council CEO, Julie Fisher, that the centre probably had no more than 12 months at best, and that it would be closed down completely if nobody stepped forward to take over and run the building by autumn 2024. I drafted in a number of very concerned residents who were avid users and fans of the centre, as well as a member of the church who uses the centre, a local charity called Byfleet United Charities, and a service called Regenerate Rise, who have had huge success in setting up charitable elderly services across the borough of Wandsworth and in some of the most deprived areas of London. The first thing that we decided to do was to set up a petition so that we would channel the overwhelming response that we had received from you, our local residents, into something positive. We wanted to raise awareness of what was being proposed and to gain publicity around this, as we noticed that the Pool in the Park lobbyists were gaining very good traction on the same basis. In fact, this popular pool had become something of a political football, but this has resulted in it potentially now staying open, albeit under a new financial model. I'm pleased to say that we got 3,176 names on the petition. Thank you to all of you who signed this. 42% of the people who live in the village of Byfleet, and in a matter of weeks, had signed this petition, which is remarkable. The petition will now be heard at the council meeting that I mentioned before on Thursday the 8th of February, when all the key decisions will be made. And one of our lovely villagers, Scarlett, will be presenting that petition to council, and I'll be making a speech as well. And everybody's welcome to attend, to come and sit in the council chamber and show your support. The action group has met every week since last October, and it includes the day centre manager, Johnny. The plan going forward is to undertake a community asset transfer of our community centre, and then we will run it as volunteers with staff and with a board of trustees on a charitable basis. The council are proposing that all of our elderly customers travel across Woking to either Hale End or the Brockhill Extra Care Home. Sadly, Brockhill has already been forced to close and Hale End is at overcapacity. But can you imagine someone who is potentially 90 years of age, let's say, and frail, travelling across Woking and back on a winter's day to go to receive the service that they get at St Mary's? Because we can't imagine that happening either. Especially given that the proposal is that the Butler Transport Service will also have all of its council funding pulled. In Byfleet, we already run our village hall using volunteers, and we have done this successfully for many years. We also decided to do the same when Surrey County Council announced that it was closing our village library. And this is now a thriving literary hub. Recently, our old Victorian fire station, a beautiful Grade 2 listed building, was under threat of being sold off by Surrey County Council. And so myself and a group of residents formed what we call a CIO and successfully lobbied the council to transfer this asset to ourselves as a group of trustees. This building will now receive a £650,000 makeover, and we will run it as a community hub. So we have experience of creating business plans and of running our public buildings for the benefit of our community. I've now managed to find someone new to run the cafe at St Mary's, which I'm delighted to say. His name is Neil, and the cafe will now be known as the Sandwich Board, and it will be opening around the 12th of February. So do please come along and show your support for not only St Mary's as a centre, because we need it to carry on with business as usual, but also for Neil, who currently has a cafe in Woking, but he'll be running everything, including producing the elderly meals from St Mary's from February. So basically, it will take us some time to undertake the asset transfer of St Mary's. It's not something that any of us have ever done before. It's not something that the council's ever done before. And so it will take a bit of time for us to create a business plan to work out exactly who's going to run the centre and how we will do it. But I'm delighted to say that I've got a very solid team in place now, and we will put in place strict governance and strict scrutiny to oversee how everything's run. We are open for business as usual, and we want you to come and hire the centre. In fact, we're really excited about opportunities to do more at St Mary's. For example, that could mean children's parties on a Saturday or at the weekend, hiring out the place for wedding receptions. The mind boggles. There's so many other things that we could be using the space for when it's not being utilised by our elderly. So we're having to move at pace, as the council are saying that they're going to stop the elderly service at the end of March, and the staff, as I mentioned before, are on notice of redundancy. So none of this is easy, but we're prepared to do battle, and we're prepared to do whatever it takes to keep the centre open. Woking Borough Council themselves have never undertaken a community asset transfer before, so it's new territory for us all. They issued a new policy last week about community asset transfer, and you can find that on the Woking Borough Council website if you fancy reading all about it. They've got 36 buildings across the borough that they're looking to transfer across to the public or to groups to run themselves, so that council have no longer fund and run them. And the idea of this is that they will do this long term, so it won't be that the villagers step up and run St Mary's for a short term and then the council takes the building back again. This is a permanent arrangement, so the council are not looking to take back those assets at any point in time. It will be a long-term solution. So for me, the elderly daycare service at St Mary's is the lifeblood of the centre. Without this, it would cease to be the place that it is today. A thriving hub where we can protect our elderly and vulnerable from social isolation, mental health issues, loneliness, potentially not eating properly, exercise, and feeling cared about. The knock-on effect of stopping this service in terms of the NHS, etc., is also unthinkable. To bring this to life, I'd like to tell you about a lovely man called Brian who lives in Byfleet and who uses St Mary's every day of the week, Monday to Friday. I see Brian walking past my house when I'm working from home every day to go to St Mary's to book his meal, because he has to come and do this in person. This gives him exercise and gets him out of the house. A house that he finds very lonely in since he lost his wife several years ago and since his daughter moved to Wales. I then see him walk home, and sometime later he walks past again to go and have his lunch and to spend the rest of the day undertaking activities and chatting to people at St Mary's. Brian has become the adopted granddad of Scarlett and her two beautiful 1 and 4-year-old daughters. Every day they play with Brian, they hug him, and it's wonderful to watch. Scarlett says that the centre really saved her when she was a lonely new mum with no one to compare notes with. Her family live in Yorkshire and are far too far away, hence why they've all adopted Brian. She was able to mix with other new mums at the centre, and this was a lifesaver for her too. Brian told the Bloomberg reporter, "It saves my life coming here. It does so much for me." He explained that when he lost his wife, he didn't even know how to cook. We still have a big job to do to convince the council that not all of the forthcoming decisions should just be financial. We need them to agree to keep our elderly daycare service going for a stay of execution while we build our plan and put everything in place for something that will be a huge undertaking. When I started the group, Woking Borough Council could not even tell us how much it costs to run St Mary's. No financial figures were available, and the centre had not been able to market itself, nor was it run with any financial oversight. We feel that we'll be able to take the centre, to fill the missing 50% capacity, to unshackle it so that it can be run more commercially, but thus enabling us to do much more good for our community and beyond. We would like to make it a centre of excellence for elderly care in our borough, to be able to do more for our vulnerable and needy, and to allow it to thrive for all generations and all denominations. The future is bright, and we feel that we will be all better off as a result. I'm already working on lots of exciting new projects, such as a community fridge, like the one we already have set up in West Byfleet at St John's Church. And please do go along on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock and have a look at the community fridge. Basically, it's for everyone. It's not just a food bank. It's a great way to stop excess food from our supermarkets going into landfill. And there's lots of great produce there every week. I'm also working on a repair cafe, the idea being that you can bring your old damaged printers or whatever it may be, and experts will repair them for you for a donation at St Mary's. We're looking to introduce more mental health and wellbeing initiatives, working with great charities like the Matthew Hackney Foundation, introducing a sustainability hub for the village, where you can come and we can be a lot better at not only recycling, but lots of other great environmental initiatives. And the list goes on, really. So we're looking for you to come up with ideas and opportunities. But what we really need you to do is to continue to show your support for St Mary's. Please spread the word that it's not closing down, that it's business as usual, that it's open every day. Come and use the cafe, come and use the services. And if you want to hire the space for anything at all, come and have a talk to Johnny or myself, and we'll happily look to engage with you. Thank you. So please do join us on the 8th of February, that's Thursday next week, from 6 o'clock onwards at the council offices in Woking. At 7 o'clock on Thursday the 8th of February, the council will convene to make decisions about St Mary's Community Centre and our elderly daycare service. And we want to show that our residents are very passionate that this service is not stopped. We want to show our support and our passion. So do come along. We're asking people to get there early because I think there'll be some other people there that want to also lobby the council. So my suggestion is from 6 o'clock onwards, get there early. We will stand outside and have a photograph, and then we'll go into the council chambers where our petition will be heard, and I'll also be giving a speech in support of saving St Mary's. If you're not able to join us, please do check our next week's podcast and social media for updates on St Mary's future as we continue our project. Please check the links below where you can post your comments and follow our news. We would also like to thank our supporters that have made this podcast possible today: St Mary's Community Centre, Cafe Carlo, and of course yourselves. This podcast is for all of you, the community, and we need your help to get the word out. Please share this link with your family, friends, neighbours, and help us reach our target of 300 channel subscribers in 30 days. Please rate, review and subscribe by hitting the bell to ByCast, and follow us on all social media platforms. All links are posted below for ease. Next week, we will be covering more local news and the flood alleviation scheme in Byfleet. Please join us next Thursday at 6 p.m. for a whole lot more on the Byfleet and surrounds. I'm Amanda Boot, and thank you for listening to ByCast. See you next week. We look forward to it. Bye.
Thank you for listening to ByCast. We'll see you next week.